Kamala Khan is not having a very good week, and now she's on the drop list. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Gainers, to another incredible, fantastic episode of ComicGains. And if you're new to the show, I'm Adam.
I'm Zach, and this is Princess Aurora Harris, looking very lovely today, just like usual, doing that princess wave. You do too. That I don't respect, and of course, there's Coco.
There she is, the team mascot. The Comic Coco in the house. All right, guys, we are back on this Monday to report the top 5 dropped comics of last week. And this is a really good list. A nice mixture of different types of comics, different price points, different percentages as we like to do it. And that's what we do on Monday.
Yes.
So the ComicGains group gets together and we scour the internet for trending lists, hot lists, any kind of list, speculation lists from all different websites. And we try to look at the reason why they were popular a year ago and why they're maybe not popular now and the price difference. We only report on books that have dropped in price. Obviously, if they've gone up in price, they don't grace they can't make the drop list. And we try to give you a good idea of whether or not it's a good idea to pick up the book, or sometimes books are just that flash in the pan and then you never see them again. So sometimes you don't want to buy books that way. And it's a lot of fun. It's exciting, and we do it every week so you get those news and updates. We also like to do something else every week so you get those updates.
We like to talk about ghost books and ghost energy drinks. We'd like to talk about
official sponsor
of Ghost.
Of Zach's
Ghost books.
Zach's Belly.
This is a Bubblicious flavor. Strawberry
Ooh,
splash.
first to the show. First time on the show, the Bubblicious.
Bubblicious. It's my mission. Wait, it's
Is
delicious.
it technically bubblegum flavor, kind of like mint? It's kind of minty, right?
I don't know. I'm
maybe
not a scientist or a
well,
historian.
whenever you eat like bubblegum ice cream, it kind of tastes minty.
Does it? I've never had bubblegum ice cream.
It's funky. You get that little piece of bubblegum in there, chewing it up.
You're not supposed to swallow it, guys.
You're not. Or else it will stay inside your stomach for 7 years. You heard it here. We're scientists. We know what we're talking about.
Right? Like everybody needs 20,000 cups of water a day. Sure.
You know what else we are scientists about? Hanging out with us on Whatnot every Saturday, where you can hang out with Adam and Zach at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you're lucky, you get to hang out with the Princess, which you're all lucky. You get to hang out with the Princess at 6 p.m. where she hosts her very own show where she has the legendary polls and legendary Wheel of Games where you always have a chance to possibly win a slab. Just a special update, Adam and Zach will be doing a special pop-up show on Thursday for only an hour where we're also giving away a slab on an hour show, a 9/8 slab. So come hang out with us just for an hour, Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'd love to see you there. We'd love to give you a slab. You got a really good shot. A really good shot. All right, let's get back to those drops. Mic drop. All right, let's start out first. And these guys are in order, least drop to most drop. And at the end, Zach will give you his number 1 pick of the week. And there's a chance, Zach could actually hate all the books and not have a pick. That's possible, right?
Yeah, it is very possible.
It's possible.
I am a very angry person about books.
All right. First on the list is 2 of our favorite friends from the 90s, good old Beavis and Butthead, number 1 from 1994. You got Rick Parker and Mike Lackey on this great book. Do your best impressions, Zach.
What do you think?
The great Cornholio.
Great Cornholio.
Gracing us. So this guy's his first appearance of Beavis and Butthead in comics. And if you didn't know, it's also Daria, who had a TV show on MTV as well. She was kind of like a mild-mannered teenager that kind of had to deal with the crap of high school. Cool character. But if you guys didn't ever watch Beavis and Butthead back in the day, my parents had let me watch it, so I had to borrow recorded VHSs from my friends in order to watch it behind their back. Sorry, Mom and Dad, if you see this. But it's kind of an interesting show. They basically just kind of did little segments of goofy things they did, and then they would watch music videos and comment on the music videos as they were going on. They really like AC/DC and Gwar, and they would also watch videos that they hated and say how stupid the videos were, which was kind of funny. Interesting they would do that. They had some really cool movies. Beavis and Butthead Do America came out, which I thought was funny at the time. It was really good. But last year, we got a new installment in the Beavis and Butthead world movie gallery, and a new movie came out. And the comic book was blasting off again. It's always been worth a little bit of money, which is nice. It's never been at least in the past 10 years, never been like $1 book. So people have been kind of looking for it. But it got a huge bump in sales last year. And now, 1 year later, it has made it on the drop list at number 5. Just so you guys know, little known variant. That's actually the second print variant, which has a red glove. If you didn't see that in that word, the real number one has a pink glove. And keep an eye out for that. The red glove in a raw is about $60 or more in the raw. So yeah, if you didn't know, you see that red glove, way better than the pink glove.
It's guys, it's Ghost. Can you see that?
It is a ghost, but
it's Ghost.
It's a ghost. All right. Hit him with the numbers, Cornholio.
All right. Bring me TP for my bug hole because it's been dropping, guys. It's been dropping. See, prices a year ago for CGC 9.8 was $140. Now it's $110. Range, it's been as low as $55 and as high as $212. Average sell for a 9.8 was $122. It's about 21% drop for the regular cover. Not the second print, but the regular cover.
Yeah.
21%. It's one of those books where if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. There's no right answer to this one. If you like it, get it. If you don't like it, forget about it. Forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I gotta say. Jersey.
All right, guys. Next up on the list, and this is the question of the day, we have book number 4. And this is all new Marvel now. .1, number 1. It's the craziest title in all of Marvel Comics. And this came out in 2014. It's a Salvador LaRocca cover. It's a various artists. At this point, like in Marvel's time frame, they were kind of trying to showcase a bunch of new characters. So this is like a collection of a bunch of short stories written by different people. And it just so happens that Kamala Khan, first full appearance of Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel takes place in this story. So it's when she becomes Miss Marvel for the first time through that Terrigen Mist. And that's also first appearance of Bruno, who we don't talk about Bruno right there. But he's in the TV show and he was a cool character. There's a couple other first appearances, but these are the two major ones. So last year, around this time, we got news, the Marvels was happening and we knew that Kamala was going to grace the new movies. Obviously, we've seen previews by now and it looks pretty fantastic. I'm excited about this whole Freaky Friday sort of thing going on, which should be really interesting. But ever since her debut on her TV show, this book has never hit the heights that it was before the TV show. And it got a little bump with the movie coming out, but never went back to its original glory. I mean, this book in a 9.8 was well above the $1,000 price point. Yeah. Way up there.
Way up there, Morty.
Way up there, Morty. But just a cool thing, it's also a very limited run, too. I don't think a lot of people thought this book was going to be cool. So 32,000 print run is kind of low at that time frame. So the big question is, and I get a lot of confusion with this, like, what's the good Kamala Khan key to go after? What should you be looking for? Because there's some discrepancy in it. Key Collector actually has Captain Marvel 14, which is this book right here. You can see that one. It is actually, this is the first cameo of Kamala Khan, not as a superhero, so just as a regular, everyday person.
Oh, cool.
They actually have this listed at $250 in high raw, which is probably not. I like Key Collector a lot and I use them every day, but it's probably not the most accurate price. Someone should probably check that out because they have the all new Marvel .1 listed at 70 in high grade. And when you do some research, it's actually the all new Marvel .1 is actually a better book. I think in my personal to go after. It's definitely worth a lot more in any condition or graded. But I'd love to hear what you guys think down below. What's your favorite Kamala Khan? Because it's kind of like that whole Gambit thing. Which do you like better?
Yeah.
First appearance as a regular person. First appearance as a superhero. You could go both ways. That's a good cover too. There's also Captain Marvel 17, which is the second cameo. Cool cover as well. Definitely not in the running between the two books, but there's some kind of weirdness between that, which I'm not quite sure why they have them labeled that way. Also, keep an eye out for that second print with the blue bottom. We all love the blue bottom. It's over $100 in the raw. And there's a 1 in 75 Steve McNiven cover, which is kind of cool. It's an okay cover, but it's worth a crap ton. Because it's a super low print run. It's a 1 in 75. It's over $500 raw. So that's your investment book. If you're going to invest in Kamala, because you hope she pulls the Michael Jackson and comes back from the grave. But we hope. So, but exactly with those Kamala numbers.
Yeah, prices a year ago for a CGC 9.8 was $805. Now it's $575. Range is $455 to $805. It was exactly at the high a year ago. And actually, no, it would have been higher a little bit before that. Average sale is $643. It's about a 28% drop. This is a fantastic book. It's a great character. I hear it's a good read. I need to read it. And Yeah, I mean it's a staple character. Will she ever just become? Will she come back and become Captain Marvel, take up the mantle, or will she stay in the grave, or will
Miss
she
Marvel.
just stay as Miss Marvel and never age? Kind of like Spider-Man, he like never ages. Spider-Man's the one that never ages, or from 50. Oh no, Superman would be better example.
I don't think any of them age.
None of them age. It's like
Professor X is getting younger.
yeah, it's so confusing. Where it's like, okay, at least show like you're aging, but they just seem like they're getting younger, depending on who's drawing them. Jeez, at least old man Logan, at least Logan becomes an old man at some point in time. I mean, there's that, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, I think it's a great. I don't know if it would be considered a blue chip key at this point, but it's a really good modern key that you might want to keep a look at.
Definitely in the top 20 for modern keys. I would put it in there. Somewhere in the top 20.
Yeah, definitely keep a lookout because recently one of us found one raw for $1.
Ooh,
just saying.
Keep an eye out.
Keep an eye out. It happens.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. You know who does know? Probably the Sandman, because he seems to know a lot. And he made it number 3 on the list.
He's so tuckered out.
Sandman! Issue number 13 from 1990. I still can't believe this came out in 1990. Vertigo Comics, also known as the original DC Black Label. Dave McKean and Neil Gaiman, the great Neil Gaiman, doing the work on this book. If you guys didn't know, this is first appearance of Lady Johanna Constantine, who is an ancestor and I think a witch related to the great John Constantine. Who is one of our favorites. We all love John Constantine around here. It's also first appearance of Hobgoblin, who was granted immortality by Sandman Morpheus in the story. And it's also, this is probably, I've read the whole series, this is probably one of my favorite books. I love this story where Hobgoblin gets granted immortality and Sandman comes back and sees him. I think it's every 100 years to see how he likes living forever. And each 100 years is different. Like sometimes he's like, I love it. Everything's awesome. I'm making a lot of money. Then he comes back and sees him another 100 years. He's like, I'm drunk. I lost everything. My life's horrible. And then he comes back and sees him again. Just changes every time. I think it's a really interesting part of the story. Actually, more interesting than the Constantine part, if you ask me. But, you know how that goes. Just a couple things interesting with this book. The reason why it made the trending list last year. Obviously, we got the Sandman TV show, which was cool. We got to see an iteration of her. Nothing like she was in the book that I felt. It was a completely different character in the in the movie. They kind of switched her out for a regular John Constantine because they obviously didn't have the rights to it. People liked her so much they were like, hey, let's do a spin-off with Joanna, let's give her own show. Then our good friend Keanu's like, hey, I want to do Constantine Part 2 again, so don't do any TV shows. They're like, that's an even better idea. Let's cancel the Joanna TV show.
Right.
Then our good friend James Gunn got involved and he said, no, let's cancel the Constantine 2. That's not happening now. And now we are getting what, Zach? Nothing. Nothing is happening.
Broke our spirit.
But, we'll see. We are getting Sandman Season 2, so maybe we'll see her again. She was kind of a cool character in that. Keep an eye out. It's not like that expensive, but it's interesting. The Essential Vertigo book for this, the second print, only has 11,000 copies, and it has a little bit of value. It's about a $15 book. So, but Zach will hit you with those numbers on the unlucky 13.
Right. It was a dream a year ago. Now it turns out to be a nightmare. For a CGC 9.8 for this wonderful book was $295.
Ooh.
Now it's $207. Not too bad. Range $199 to $305. Average sale is $246. Interesting enough, there's not that many 9.8s. So the amount of 9.8s out there, right, is not keeping up with the demand that it still has at this point. So it's actually making the book kind of drop a little slower than it would probably normally would if something of this situation happened to, let's say, a more heavily printed Marvel book.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is not a bad book to get. It probably has nowhere to go, but it's part of that classic Neil Gaiman series, right?
The Sandman.
Mm-hmm. And it's the first 20 issues. I think all those books are going to be a cult classic. I think there's going to be people that enjoy it for years to come. I think this is a pretty nice price for this book. $200 for a 9.8. I'm considering buying one.
Ooh, a little foreshadowing into the future. All right, issue number 2. We got to have a spider character on the list. Little lesser known one. This is Amazing Fantasy number 1, 2004. Mark Brooks cover and various artists or various writers inside. Little fun fact, guys, this is the first Mark Brooks Marvel cover of all time.
Oh, wow.
I think it's his second cover he ever did, I believe. It's like an image book that says first one. But if you guys didn't know, this is first appearance of Araña, which is Espanol for spider, which is kind of cool. And this has a lot of spec potential. So back in May, almost 1 year ago of 2022, Isabel Mercedes was cast to be in the Madame Web Sony movie, and people are speculating she would be a perfect character to play Anya Corazon, who is Araña. The character Araña, there's also some good spec that she could be used in the Across the Spider-Verse movie. I didn't see her in there, but you never know. There was a lot of people in there. Maybe you never know. Maybe you didn't know. But just some spec to go along with the Madame Web. If you guys are kept up with the recent comics, Julia Carpenter, who was the second Spider-Woman, actually took up the mantle at a certain point in the comics and became Madame Web. And then during the Spider-Verse series, she was actually grooming Araña to be the new Madame Web, which was kind of what you were kind of seeing. She was letting her kind of like lead the charge with a lot of the other Spider characters in the Spider-Verse. There's been a couple Spider-Verse series, but in one of the Spider-Verse series. And at a certain point, she switches to Spider-Woman. She takes up the Spider-Girl, takes up the mantle of Spider-Girl. I'm not really sure why they did that. And then I think people really liked her better as Araña, so they put the goggles back on her and switched her back to Araña, as they well should. But a couple other things too. I know at the end of the original Spider-Verse series, which was kind of fun, Spider UK, his world gets destroyed, and Araña realizes that there's too many Spider characters in the 616, so her and Spider UK actually go off to kind of police the Spider-Verse area, which is kind of interesting. That's why I was kind of surprised they didn't use her in the Miles thing, because she's part of that whole police group.
Right.
I didn't see Spider UK in that either, which I thought he was supposed to be in there. Maybe in the next one. But Zach will hit you with the numbers that are happening right now on this amazing fantasy one. It's also a good series. I don't know. They're not using any of the characters from this series. I haven't seen
Strange Scorpion.
Or the Scorpion Girl, or Totally Awesome Hulk, or there's a Vampire Girl too.
Oh yeah, they really liked. I can't remember what her name is, but yeah, they really like her. They really
a lot of good characters in this series.
Very expensive book. Price a year ago for this glorious 9.8. The webs continue. I don't know. Was $210. Now it's $135. This is another book I'm really considering getting. Range, it's been as low as $92, as high as $275. Average sale is $164. Price drop is about 36%. Araña is a great character that could really mix into the Sonyverse, Marvelverse, whatever you want to call it. Great character design, great character building. I think that's the word. Character building. I mean,
Lego.
Anyways, yeah, Lego. It builds it up, and it's part of that classic Amazing Fantasy series. And I think people would just love to see her in it. So I really recommend getting this first book. And yeah, that's all I got to say about it.
Loving it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, next up on the list, we got the number one, the champ. The gold belt champion. You win a gold belt when you're number one? I think so, right?
Yeah, I think so. Gold trophy.
Yeah, something like that. You got number one, Deadpool, the Merc with a Mouth. You got Black, White, and Blood, issue number 4, 2021. Ryan Brown and various writers. All these Black, White, and Bloods are a collection of multiple stories. There's usually about 3 or 4 in each one. Most of the ones I read, I didn't really care for. I don't really like that skipping around. I like one whole story in a book if I can help it. Bunch of stories that you get like a little bit, and then I feel like you don't get enough, what you're looking for, at least for me. And that's how I feel about these. But if you guys didn't know, this is a very interesting book, and interesting that it came out this way. This is first appearance of Sakura Spider in U.S. comics. She was actually introduced in Deadpool Samurai issue number 2 in the Shogun Jump in Japan. Is her first appearance, but it's like technically not a U.S. comic. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
But strangely enough, she is the first appearance in this book. And last year around this time, Edge of Spider-Verse 3 came out for the series, and they gave her. She's on the cover of that book as well too.
Okay.
And she actually gets her own solo story. You get a little origin behind her. I was reading that issue of Edge of Spider-Verse 3, and I was like, this is a really cool character, Right. And so I'm like, why have I not seen this? And I look it up, and Edge of Spider-Verse 3 is not her first appearance. And I'm like, well, what is her first appearance? Guess what? It's this book, Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood, issue number 4. Strangely enough, it's a weird title. I don't like this title at all, but it's cool that her first appearance is in this book.
Absolutely.
It took some big jumps, And then we didn't see. People were speculating she could be in the movie Across the Spider-Verse. I didn't see her in there either. This is a lot of. I didn't see them in that movie. But
there's so many spiders.
I think it still has a lot of potential, especially since they used her again in Edge of Spider-Verse 3, the comic book. Be on the lookout for. There's a 1 in 25 Dan Panoza, which is a kind of a fish market variant book. Has like Deadpool with a bunch of dead fish and dead octopus on. Kind of cool. And it's a little bit over $80 raw. So keep an eye out for that book. I don't know. Zach will have to give you his feelings. I think she's a cool character. I would probably pick this up for cheap if you see it, but Zach will give you the detail.
Yeah, it was going pretty steady a year ago. Now it got all bloodied. Anyways. For a CGC 9.8, is $120 a year ago. Now it's last sold for $36 for a CGC 9.8. Range 36? 36 to 150. Average sales $96. It's a 70% drop. So if this character ever shows up and it becomes a fan favorite, this book will go to the moon. I'll take you to the moon. Frank Sinatra. I think that's who did that. If I was wrong, correct me in the comments. It's fly me to the moon. Anyways, I don't know much about this character, but for $36, I think Adam told me one time. I forgot. Typical. For $36 for 9.8, you better just buy stacks of these. I mean, or just buy stacks of raws, pay about $30, sending a 25-book log to them in. Hopefully all of them get 9.8s or pre-screen them. I mean, I think this has a really, really good chance of just taking off. Especially if it has a low print run. And it just might. We'll have to look into that. But yeah, this book I think is probably either number 1 or number 2. And I think it's hard to say. Let's say this is tied. This is the bargain, but the one that you probably should get is Amazing Fantasy number 1.
Ooh.
And that's my biased opinion. I think Amazing Fantasy number 1 has a lot of legs, but Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood might have more. It's hard to say. It might have more spider legs than the other spider leg one. It's hard to say.
2 unsung heroes.
I really want the Amazing Fantasy 1, so I see Amazing Fantasy 1 is my number 1 pick, but the bargain pick, strong second is the Deadpool. Yeah. That's what I think.
It's a weird book too, because you gotta imagine like how many people. A lot of people are gonna get that Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood number 1 because they're like, okay, I might check out this new series. But who stayed all the way to the end of number 4 and then even guessed there was a first appearance of a spider character in it? It's a perfect storm, I think, to something come out later on. Why would people get this book?
Exactly.
Normally, I think that's why it was so expensive right at the bat, because nobody had this on order on their pull list. Which, like Zach said, probably lower print run. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the drop list for this week. So, as always, if you like hearing these drop lists as much as we like delivering and learning about all this great knowledge, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you always know when we're going live, which we are going to be on this Wednesday to hang out with you. And leave a comment down below. We got a couple questions for you. Big question of the day is definitely, what's your Kamala Khan key? Which one? Do you like the Captain Marvel 14? Do you like the all-new Marvel Point Now 1 issue number 1? Love to hear your guys' response on that. Get a definitive answer. See which one you guys like the best. Oh, we got both of them here for you to decide. It's cool. I think they're both good keys. I think we both have them in 9.8. I think. Yeah. We should.
I think I have a 9.6.
You're gonna have to upgrade. Time to upgrade. But yeah, Zach, what else you got for us?
Yeah, sure. How you do that is you have to go out and cultivate, guys. You got to cultivate a bunch of flowers. Get all the flowers you could have, and hopefully you got like a bin that has a limited space, so you can put all the flowers, and you just put them all in and just hand them out to people. Spread a little bit of love, bring in like the summer of love in the 60s. Or is it the 70s? I don't know. I wasn't alive back
69.
then. 69.
Summer of love.
Yeah. It's a time and an action, guys. And you're just handing them out like this. And your superhero name is Thumper. Because then you meet the flowers, right? I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Don't worry about it.
Is the girl rabbit named Flower?
Somebody's named Flower. No, the rabbit's named Thumper, but then Flower is... Anyways, doesn't matter, guys. Watch that movie
That's
again.
neither here nor there.
It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. Someone dies at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert.
All right, guys. Until we see you next time, stay safe and remember.
Get those flower gains.
Get on.
Every single one.